Happy to be here at the new studio, new season of Sports Wired. We're excited.
But they really need to close out the regular season by winning 2 of the last 3 games.
Riley LaChance couldn't get the threes he wanted. Wade Baldwin was turning the ball over quite a bit. One of the oldest ones on that staff is a redshirt sophomore.
Happy to be here at the new studio, new season of Sports Wired.
Hello and welcome to the Bryce Drew Show. I'm Ben Weinrib.
And I'm Cutler Klein. Thanks so much for joining us. An exciting time in Commodore sports. New head coach coming in. The old head coach is gone. A lot of stuff going on with the basketball program. A lot of good changes.
Yes, we mentioned earlier on in some of our shows, this may be the last season for Kevin Stallings. Are they going to keep him? Are they going to fire him? Is he going to resign? Is he going to go to St. Louis? Ends up, we don't have to worry too much because he is headed to Pittsburgh, where he is the new coach of the Pittsburgh Panthers. Sort of a surprise move by them to hire sort of a retread coach, but it allows Vanderbilt to move on, allows Vanderbilt to not pay that buyout that we were trying to avoid, leaving us an opportunity to bring in a new young coach.
Absolutely. I think this was the right way to do it if Kevin Stallings was going to leave. They didn't need to fire him. They didn't need to say to a guy that turned this program around in 17 seasons, scram, get out the door. I think Kevin Stallings leaving on his own accord was the right way to go. And he's already getting into it at Pitt practice lately, running some drills with the guys, even though this team was not a good NCAA tournament team this year. He really is. He's already trying to make an impact on this program, and Vanderbilt has had a head coaching vacancy up until yesterday.
Yeah, so Vanderbilt announced finally today officially, but word came out yesterday that it would be the official move. But Bryce Drew, the former coach at Valparaiso, is going to be the new head coach. He's 41 years old, coached the Crusaders for 5 years, where he went 129 and 49. This is one of the better young coaches around. There were rumors of Nashville native Will Wade coming to town, or Greg Marshall, one of the hottest names on the market from Wichita State coming. But this is a very good fit at a reasonable price that looks like to be a very good defensive coach and probably as good as Vanderbilt really could have realistically done.
Absolutely. Like you said, this was the best realistic hire for the Commodores. Greg Marshall might have been a bit of a stretch coming off of a hot Wichita State program, but Bryce Drew is really the best realistic hire, and he's got a lot of good experience. He was at Valparaiso for 5 years, had a 129 and 49 record, which I believe is a better win percentage than any of the previous few Commodores coaches, pretty much aside from Stallings. He averaged about 25 wins a season, 4 regular season championships, and 4 postseason appearances with Valparaiso. There's a lot of good things you can say that between Valparaiso and Vanderbilt. They're both private institutions. They both have, one of them is in a kind of mid-major conference, that's Valparaiso, but Vanderbilt is a similar program except in a Power 5 conference, a better program, a stronger program, and one that Bryce Drew can really make his mark on. Vanderbilt hasn't seen any change in this basketball program in 17 years before Stallings took over. Stallings brought it to a point where the Vanderbilt can be successful on a national scale in basketball. 2 Sweet 16 appearances in his tenure. There's only nowhere to go but up for Bryce Drew with Vanderbilt.
Yeah, one of the other really interesting things about him is he's got a lot of strong bloodlines as far as coaching. His dad, Homer, coached him at Valparaiso. His brother, Scott Drew, who's I think 5 years older, has been at Baylor for a while. He's been very successful as a recruiter and a coach, had some Sweet 16 teams himself. So there's reason to believe that, he's got the mind and he's got the experience to be a successful head coach.
100%. Drew is a coach on the rise. He's going from a smaller program to a bigger program. He's going to be hungry for more appearances. And at the press conference today, he noted, Vanderbilt has not bid to a Final Four, and he wants to be the coach to bring the first Vanderbilt team to a Final Four. Lofty goals for him that he talked about at this press conference. Chancellor Nick Zeppos also noted that Bryce Drew, when he was a player at Valparaiso, actually made a legendary shot, a buzzer beater in the NCAA tournament to sink SEC rival Ole Miss, Mississippi. So he's got some SEC beef already going.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, he's more known to be a defensive coach. His offense is a little more different than Vanderbilt's, at least what he's run. Not much dribbling going on, a lot of passing, which should be an interesting change as we look for a new point guard next year. Wade Baldwin just declared for the NBA draft, so it's either going to be Riley LaChance, a transfer point guard perhaps. Valparaiso has the forward Alec Peters, who could be a graduate transfer, and another point guard who'd have to go through some wiggling and a little dancing with the NCAA to get that transfer eligibility immediately. But it should be an interesting offense next year.
Absolutely. It also all comes down to whether or not Damian Jones sticks around. After the press conference today, he said he hadn't decided officially whether or not he was going to declare for the NBA draft. Before the season, he had strongly hinted, if not confirmed, that he was going to leave, but the season, of course, did not work out the way he wanted it to work out. So it's going to be a big decision for him, and that'll also have a big impact on the offense that Bryce Drew is going to run with the Commodores, and also the defense, for a matter of fact.
Yeah, you sort of get the feeling that he's probably on his way out. He's still one of the better big men in the NBA draft. Maybe not a lot for a first-round pick, but a pretty solid chance there. And it probably doesn't look great on him if he stays a fourth year and doesn't improve again. Then he's definitely not a first-round pick and lost out on a chance to make some money there. But regardless, this is going to be a talented team next year. Luke Cornett, very strong SEC player. There's still plenty of shooting. You saw Joe Toy step up at the end of the year. Reason for excitement here on Vanderbilt's campus.
Absolutely. Matthew Fisher-Davis still returning, and we probably will get our first look at star recruit Jerry Baptiste, who is redshirted this year, should get his first time on the court as a redshirt freshman. That'll be an exciting ad on the blocks.
Yeah. And moving on to another sport, we had a very big hockey matchup colored recently with the I-40 face-off.
Absolutely. The club hockey team took on the University of Tennessee in an exhibition match at Bridgestone Arena in the final game of a strong season for the club hockey team, qualifying for nationals for the first time, declining the bid, unfortunately, due to unforeseen injury circumstances, but still got to finish the season strong in a big game in a big league arena at Bridgestone Arena, downing the Tennessee Ice Vols 10-1. A strong showing and a strong send-off for a lot of the seniors that made this program what it is today.
Yeah, an exciting way to sort of wrap up the season. There's a lot of improvement, as we've noted earlier in the show, about just how much better this program's gotten over time.
Absolutely. They were featured in the Vanderbilt Hustler this year on the growth of their program. A few years ago, they would have never dreamed of making the Nationals, much less playing a game at Bridgestone Arena. But here they are. They put together a really strong record. They went to regionals for the first time, won regionals for the first time. Fortunately, had to decline that Nationals bid. But this is a team that has nowhere to go but up. They have a strong coaching staff led by Thomas Bernstein. They have a strong program, and a 10-1 victory over Tennessee just shows how far this program has come.
Absolutely. Now, on to a little baseball. We had another victory this midweek game. Beat Lipscomb on Tuesday 4-3. It was a little shaky there at the end. Gave up the lead, but then they brought in Ben Bowden, who started the year as the Saturday starter. Now is back to his bullpen role, where he leads the team with 5 saves. Just an excellent day overall for him.
Absolutely. Coming off of a big series win against South Carolina in the weekend, come out with what looked like a strong win against Lipscomb, a little shaky towards the end of the game, but Ben Bowden getting a huge, huge save. And our own Max Hers talked to him after that save. Let's take a look.
Vanderbilt baseball, a 4-3 winner over Lipscomb at home on this Tuesday night. Max Hers back at Hawkins Field with Vanderbilt closer Ben Bowden. Ben, you made 5 starts the first 5 weekends. Now you've gotten 5 saves in your first 5 relief appearances, but they've all been kind of different. Some multi-inning saves. Tonight you inherited some runners. How did starting help prepare you to go back to the bullpen where you pitched the last 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, starting just kind of helped me with all my different pitches. When you're starting, you have to use all your pitches, throughout the game. And even though I've been using a lot of fastballs as of late out of the bullpen, I feel a lot more confident now with my other stuff than I did before I started.
7 pitchers went for Vandy tonight. The big one, John Kilichowski pitched a scoreless 4th inning. Junior lefty back after he hasn't been pitching for really the entire year, his first appearance of the season. What's his journey back been like, and how important is it to have him back?
I mean, that kid, he works his butt off day in and day out. I was so happy for him to get out there and pitch as well as he did. We all were. You could feel it in the dugout, and everyone was, jumping around ready for him to get in there. And, he pitched really well, a quick inning, and, he was up 91, and that was the old John, it was good to see.
How's the identity of the staff really coming into form as we move into a big series this weekend against LSU?
Yeah, the midweek starts are always interchanging. You got Chef and K-Dub and Stoney on the weekend right now starting, and we're feeling really good about where we're at, and the bullpen's just kind of playing out the way Brownie and Corbus wanted to, and we're feeling real good in the positions that we're put in, and as you can see, we're getting some wins out of it, so it's working.
Vanderbilt, a 4-3 winner over Lipscomb tonight. Back at it Thursday night at 6 o'clock Central against LSU on the SEC Network.
And now we welcome back from the desk Amanda Marco-Tullio. Amanda, how you doing?
Doing great. I haven't been here in a while, but always great to be back, especially in the new studio.
The brand new studio, VSC, been spending our budget very wisely.
Always.
Can't thank them enough. Moving on to track and field, we had an appearance in the Florida Relays on Friday and Saturday where the team took 6th place on both the 4x400 relay and the 1800 or the 1600 rather sprint medley.
Yeah, exciting stuff for this team. You know, kind of beginning the season, seeing where we can take off. They both did well. The 4x400 team had a time of 3:39, and the sprint medley with a 3:55.62. 6th place was good. You know, they would like to improve on that, but both those teams had on them Skylar Carpenter, Courtney Clayton, Jenna Doby, and Faith Washington. And Ben, actually, Jenna Doby and I go way back. Way back. We used to race against each other in high school in the 400 and the 800. Pretty much every race I would race against her, every invitational race. So I know Jen well. Awesome to see. She's actually doing really well at Vanderbilt. She had, at this same meet, a personal best time of 53:33 in the 400 meters. That puts her at number 2 all-time for Vanderbilt. That's a ridiculous time. I can tell you she was not running that fast in high school, but she was on her way, clearly, and she just continues to get better. And we saw our girl Simone Charlie do well as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, Simone, who's an All-American, of course, took home 14th in the triple jump, which is, that's what she does. We talked about this last year, the hop, skip, and the jump. That's what she does. Get that from the soccer field.
Yeah, I mean, she also had an amazing soccer season, as we talked about before. You know, 14th it's good for her. It's a good start beginning of the season, but again, she is an All-American. She's made it to nationals before. Would love to see Simone Charlie probably increase that even a little better, but you know, as long as she's placing to start at the beginning of the season, we know she's going to do well going on. So, also in women's sports, we had women's lacrosse this past Saturday. An unfortunate loss to Georgetown on Saturday, 7-5. The women's team had been doing pretty well at home, but now, you know, overall they're still only 4-7. Not exactly where they want to be right now. I mean,
yeah.
The lacrosse teams had their struggles in the past. They kind of have struggled to find a leader, you know, senior leadership, a lot of turnover with certain girls. But Vanderbilt goalie Callahan Kent had an awesome game. She had 10+ saves, so she was doing as much as she could for Vanderbilt. But unfortunately, Georgetown kind of just managed to squeak them out here.
Yeah, tough game, especially when they get out to such a quick lead early on. Georgetown goes up 4-0, but Vanderbilt was able to come back to make it 5-3 going into the second half. Unfortunately, after they tied the game 5-5, Georgetown took the lead again, 7-5, and Vanderbilt just could not catch up.
Yeah, it was kind of for a while after Georgetown took the lead, then Vanderbilt finally gained momentum, and it went back and forth for a while with some really good plays on both sides, both teams kind of catching the momentum. Like you said, they did tie it up, but unfortunately, towards the end of the game, there was a lot of fouls and turnovers. It kind of got a little dirty at the end, a little bit of yelling at the refs. It wasn't the cleanest game, and unfortunately, 2 Vanderbilt players earned penalties, having to sit out and putting them down 2 players in the last 2 minutes of the game, and they can't come back in after that. So unfortunately, Vanderbilt couldn't catch up once Georgetown went up 7-5. But lacrosse is looking to bounce back. They've had some improvement since last year, and hopefully we continue to see a trend after this loss.
Yeah, obviously being 2 men down, or 2 women down rather, at the end is a tough way to end it, and it makes it hard to come back. But you love to see that tenacity of them, just being able to come back in the first place against a tough team.
Yeah, they didn't let that lead shake them at all at the beginning. When Georgetown went up, they came right back, and that was exciting to watch. So good momentum moving on, even though it was a tough loss.
Right. So I guess this is a debate we held before the show a little bit. This was the Bryce and Drew show. I think that Bryce Drew is a very strong name for a head coach.
Yes.
You can usually tell if you can flip the last name and the first name. Drew Bryce, that'd be another strong name.
Solid name.
I feel like Bryson is a intriguing name for a son when your name is Bryce.
You can see that beautiful family right there. Wow, that is an attractive family. And
Oh,
look
yeah.
at it. Look at little Bryson is one of the cutest things I've ever seen. But his name is I don't know if I agree with it. Bryson, being named Bryson when your dad's name is Bryce. I don't know.
It's even spelled differently because we got Bryce with a B-R-Y-C-E and his son is B-R-Y-S-O-N.
Yeah.
So maybe they've got there's a nice blonde family. Maybe they're from like Scandinavia where it's Bryce son.
Son of Bryce.
Right.
Yeah, again, I'll forgive him because he's so cute and he was
Yeah.
wearing that little bow tie, repping Bandy colors. So I'll forgive him, but, questionable. Questionable choice.
All right, well, that will do it for us here at Views Sports Wired. For Cutler Klein, Colin Zimmerman, and Amanda Marco Tullio, I'm Ben Weinrib. We'll see you next week.